I'm too broad, they don't compare me to you. I am too much of a star, why would I shoot for the moon? Only 18, I'm way too out of my league. I am not one of these boys, they cannot treat you like me. We gon' make sure that they pay, they be acting like they want. We making way too much cash, we gotta act like we don't. Telling me I'ma get killed, easy to talk on your phone.
Hello Jay, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Nice to finally see you. It's been a while.
Yeah, this is a long time coming, this interview.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Feeling optimistic, feeling determined for my future. Yeah.
You're on the cusp of the return now. How has your time away been?
Terrible. Terrible.
Yeah.
It was a bad year. It was a very bad year for me, but I'm happy to be back. I went through a lot in the time away. Went through a lot of stuff. Recovered, fell back again, had to recover again, fell back again, recovered again, now I'm here. So yeah.
Now we'll definitely get into that time that you've been away for. But as you were away working on new music, congratulations by the way, the album is really, really good. Does isolation play a big part in your creative process?
I think so, yeah. Yes and no. I mean, I feel that I have to go through life to be able to write about it, so I do have to go through things, experience things. And it's hard to experience stuff trapped in a room at home the whole time. But when it comes to the recording process, I think isolation plays a big part, yeah. When I made this tape, I was pretty isolated in one apartment, just making music every day, going at it, yeah.
You know, when I think back to the first time we met, maybe 2016 at Raw X, and after my first conversation with you, I spoke to Nev and I said, I think your secret weapon at the time was that you weren't really aware of just how great you could be and how impactful the music we were working on Dreams Money Can Buy was. When did you start to realize the impact that your music could have and was already having amongst the kids?
I don't think I fully realized the impact, I mean, as of yet even, you know. I have big dreams, so I don't really appreciate anything that comes my way. I find it hard to appreciate things. That's always been my issue. But I mean, I started to realize I have a big impact when people would DM me and tell me how much my music had helped them through the depression, the anxiety, how much it saved them from wanting to commit suicide. That's when I sort of realized the impact and realized what I could shift my focus to and what I could actually contribute towards the world. Yeah.
Looking back now, you've gone through different phases in your career so far. Who were you during that Dreams Money Can Buy era, coming out of Treehouse and then that shift into Dreams Money Can Buy? Who were you as a person, as an artist as well?
Wow, I don't know how to answer that. I don't even know who I am as a person now. I think I was still very young. I had a lot to learn. Still very young. I've grown up tons since then. I was still a boy back then. So yeah, but I think I was just an innovator, someone trying to do something new, trying to open up the gates for other people. You know, it was a very different time back then. The game wasn't as oversaturated as it is now. Now we have more opportunities as artists, and there's bigger, you know, there's ways to do it, there's better ways to go about it. So back then it was still the beginning of something that had potential to be huge.
And I think, you know, I speak for a lot of people when I say that Dreams Money Can Buy is now considered a new wave classic. And part of that is obviously the subject matter and the themes that you explored, but I also feel like the sound was very pivotal in influencing the people that came after you. And Goofy played a role in that. How instrumental was Goofy at the time and continues to be in your career?
At the time, he was very, very, very important, very instrumental to my career. We would lock in for days, weeks on end when we made that tape. He really helped me discover my sound. Him and Styx, those are my two main producers that I always will be so grateful to have in my life. They were very, very important for my career. Me and Goofy haven't really been making music as of late. He's kind of taken a break. He's going through his own stuff. He's on his own mission in life. He hasn't really been doing music that much as of late, but yeah, no, I'll always be grateful for him. He was very, very important.
And then obviously from there we went to Leader of the Wave, and then from that we got All Is Fair. And I know that just from behind the scenes, All Is Fair wasn't the initial plan at the time.
Yeah.
We were working on something else, when you're in Swaziland especially.
Yeah.
And then obviously pandemic and other things played a factor in that. And I feel like All Is Fair is your most collaborative body of work to date. Dreams Money Can Buy felt very closed off, felt very isolated. There were only a few collaborators on Dreams Money Can Buy.
Yeah, close friends.
Yeah, and then we look at All Is Fair, it's literally so many people within the industry. Do you think, or would you say that it is a reflection of where you were as a person as well at that time? Dreams Money Can Buy, you were still coming up fairly unknown and also start just trying to find your feet. And then by the time you got to All Is Fair, I felt like that's when you made the transition from just being the new wave artist into now the mainstream new school artist. So would you say that it's a fair assumption when I say that All Is Fair represented where you were in your life at that time in terms of the people you're working with?
Definitely. I think at the beginning, me and Nav, we wanted to push this independent thing. We wanted to show people that it was possible to make it without all these cosigns, all these features, all these collaborations, all these labels. So we had a mission. I feel like we set out to do that mission, and we succeeded. And yeah, it was time to now start collaborating with people and just broaden my audience. And obviously, Dreams Money Can Buy, I barely knew anyone in the industry, so I didn't really have those relationships. By the time it came to All Is Fair in Love and War, and I had those relationships, so I was able to actually go out and get those features.
And you know, after All Is Fair, it felt like you were at the height of your career. And then right up, like during or in the middle of that, you know, that period, that's when you decided to step away. And you had been working for almost 5 years nonstop, you know, up until that point. And I wonder for you, like the artistic ambition or like the need to always feel like you need to work. Would you say that in a way it is trying to fill some sort of void in you? Your need to always be working, doing shows in studio, doing shoots, all of that. At that time you were so busy, and then it came to a stop. Literally, like, I guess you're forced into that.
Yeah.
So would you say that after those 4 or 5 years, that constant need to keep working, a part of you was trying to fill a void of some sort?
Yeah. When I stopped working, man, it was bad because I'm a workaholic.
Yeah.
I really am a workaholic, and when I don't work, I just feel like I'm useless, like nothing's gonna happen for me. I don't like just sitting around watching TV. Even if I'm doing nothing, I like to be learning something at least. I like to watch stuff on YouTube, podcasts, like very informative videos to learn about stuff, because I don't just feel like I'm doing nothing and contributing nothing to the world. So it was a big change for me. I tried to find work in other ways. Just because I stopped music didn't mean I stopped working altogether. I tried to find other things to branch into. But the question, was there a void I was trying to fill while working?
Yeah, your constant need to feel like you always need to be working.
Yeah, I think so. Just to keep the mind busy and stuff, you know what I'm saying? I really don't like just sitting around doing nothing, letting my thoughts run, you know.
At what point would you then say in your life, not just at the time in March last year when you decided to take a break, but just in general, at what point in your life did you become aware of your mental health challenges? And when was the moment you realized that you needed to develop certain tools in order just to, you know, navigate as normal as possible?
I'd actually only found out that I had depression whilst making the All Is Fair in Love and War tape. So I found that out first lockdown. Me and Nav got trapped in Swaziland for about 4 months. And it was just hell. It was just, you know, being away from your friends, being away from your family, being away from your everyday life. that, you know, just going out and doing stuff in your own city, that was taken away from us. We were isolated, locked away on a mountain for 4 months straight with just like nothing to do basically, besides make the tape. And that time, I'm very close with Nav's family. His aunt is basically like my second mother. So she has a daughter that has depression, and she was just observing me this whole time because we were staying with them. And she came out and told me that I have depression. What I'm suffering from is depression. That was the actually first time I realized that I had this thing. I always, like, depression was always there, but I never realized that I had it. I always thought everyone felt this way, you know? I thought everyone was feeling the way I was feeling, but I realized that's not the case. So that was the first time that I was aware that I had depression, but I knew that there was something deeper, there was something more. It wasn't that simple, it was more complex than they were making it out to be. So I only then found out my true diagnoses last year when I went on that break. Yeah, found out there was more to it.
When I listen to even your earlier work, before Dreams Money Can Buy even, there is that sense of angst and darkness to your music. And like you just said now, it wasn't until a year or two ago that you were officially diagnosed with the illness, but you've always felt like everyone feels this way. I'm curious then, what do you have a vivid, or like what's your sharpest memory of you being a kid before you realized that maybe I'm not processing things the same way as a normal person is processing things?
Well, I never thought that. I always thought that everyone was feeling the same way as me. That's the thing. So I'm not really sure how to answer that. It's a no-brainer that I have depression. It's like anyone could have seen it. I don't know why I didn't see it. That's the craziest part, is like it was so obvious. But I literally just thought everyone thinks the same way that I'm thinking. I thought everyone was unhappy. I thought everyone was tired of life. I thought everyone felt like there was no meaning to this thing, which obviously is not the case. I don't know why I was so blind to it. So yeah, I don't know.
You know, in your early stages of your career, I felt like religion played a big part in your music, whether it was symbolic or in some shape or form. Religion played a part, even through like your visuals as well.
Yeah.
The Dreams Money Can Buy film.
A lot of churches.
A lot of churches. When you think back to the Hype music video, we're in a church. What impact has religion or spirituality played in your process of creating?
A huge impact, but I've went through so many phases in the last few years. I've basically tried out every single religion and every single non-religion, if I can say that. It played a big role, man, especially in the dreams. The whole Dreams Money Can Buy thing was created around religion at the time. It was focused around a prayer that I'd made at the time and felt like I got these certain answers from it. Even the title of the tape came from a prayer that I'd made. So yeah, no, it's played a huge role. It's gone from Christianity, and then it went into the Flower Child drop, where I was speaking sort of about like New Age spirituality, Buddhism, Hinduism, and then into All Is Fair in Love and War, which is basically like atheism. So you can really see the timeline of phases I've gone through. Religion is a very important topic when it comes to me. I've always been fascinated by it. I've always spent my days researching everything I could possibly find on different religions, on atheism, just watching debates. I would basically never do school when I was a teenager. From like when I was 12, I just sat around every day on YouTube watching debates, trying to find answers, because that was always my goal, was to find answers. I wasn't so concerned about what job I'm gonna have or how I'm gonna make money. I always was focused on, you know, what's the meaning, what's the purpose of life. I always had these big questions ever since I was a kid.
And you know, speaking of your time growing up, you were homeschooled, and I wonder now, looking back, you know, you've grown into a young adult now. What would you say was one of the biggest impacts of being homeschooled?
I think probably discipline. I realized that school, the most important part of school is not even what you're learning in school by the teachers. It's all the character building that you face. Learning how to deal with other kids, learning discipline, I think that was the biggest role that it played on me. Yeah, just that discipline, that self-discipline was something that I struggled with a lot. I always thought, you know, the main fear when you're homeschooled is that you're not going to have any friends. But that never stopped me. I made sure that I had friends. I ended up having more friends than people that went to school. So, but that was a big fear of mine when I first went into it. That's the most common fear when it comes to that. But yeah, no, I definitely think the discipline and whatnot was the biggest challenge I faced.
And speaking of your upbringing, what would you say is the biggest impact of being raised by a single parent?
I would say the same thing, probably just discipline. I didn't have that father in my life to discipline me and show me what to do and tell me what not to do. It was just my mother, and my mother's she's not a very confrontational person, you know, so even if I was doing something wrong, she wouldn't go about it and come yell at me. I think she would rather just avoid the situation, so I was able to just basically do what I want, which I'm grateful for because it made me who I am, you know. I think that if I grew up with a father, I wouldn't be the same person at all. Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of your young fans, especially, they listen to your music and they hope to find some sort of answers, you know. It almost feels like you are a voice for them, you know, you're a vessel, you know, with this message. And I wonder, for you, who is that person that you look to in your dark times for answers or for solace of sorts?
It's always changed. It's always changed. But I think mainly right now in my life it would be this psychiatrist, Jordan Peterson. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. I usually watch his lectures in university that he speaks to students. I watch those, I watch his interviews. He's the main person I think that I look to right now. But it's always been different people, you know, based off whatever religion or belief that I subscribe to. It changed, you know. At the beginning it was pastors, then it turned into New Age spiritual teachers, people like Eckhart Tolle. Then it sort of changed to Jordan Peterson, the psychological side. So yeah.
So March 2021, official statement goes out on social media through the Neverbroke accounts, saying that you're taking a break. And this was at like the height of your career at the time. I don't think I think that's the biggest you were at the time. You know, we've been working towards that. And then, you know, so like even for the people, you know, I guess for them it came as a surprise as well. You know, you just dropped the video with Nadia Nakai as well. So like everything was really moving. There's a lot of momentum behind that album. And then you went away. While you were away, was there a time perhaps maybe where you felt like there will never be another album again?
Yes. I was actually planning to quit music completely. I wanted to become a monk. That's always been my backup plan, is to become a monk. But because of COVID, I literally tried every place I could find. There's no place in South Africa I could find, so I was trying to find places abroad. And yeah, because of COVID, they just weren't accepting anyone. You needed to have your vaccination. By that time, the vaccines weren't available in South Africa yet. So yeah, I was definitely planning on quitting, 100%, leaving it all behind.
And how did you manage to find your way back into recording again?
I don't even know when I started recording again. I think it's when I moved to Cape Town. I was just sort of forced upon me by Nav. Nav got the studio, I said, yeah, it is, record, you have to do this, you have to work. And I wanted to get back into it. I wanted to get back into that workflow. So yeah, just got back into it straight.
What was the most cathartic song on the album for you? While you were working on this album, maybe a song or even a verse or a lyric where when you wrote it down, you just knew that you would have to have some sort of courage to put this out?
Off the upcoming tape?
Yeah.
I don't even want to say. Probably the ones where I'm talking about crime. I wouldn't say the specific lyrics, but the ones that I'm talking about crime, that's when I was like, should I really be saying this? It's sort of like self-snitching. I don't know if they have the law in South Africa, but I know in America, they can literally take your lyrics and your music and use it against you in court. That's something I was actually stressing over after I did it. And after I already submitted the tapes, there was no turning back. Thinking, hey, should I have said that? Yeah.
And, you know, I want to speak about the lead single, which was Up To. And with that song, I feel like that song, I would put in the same category as For You, as Your Mind, and Another, and, you know, Shifted. There's, you know, those songs over there. And I'm wondering for you, because this is such a personal song, is it easier for you to just, you know, speak about the things through the music, or have a one-on-one with the people in these songs?
Definitely easier to speak about it through music, definitely. Some people I can't even have a one-on-one with, it's just we're not on those terms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because this is a love song, and just knowing, you know, how you were brought up and the things that you've been struggling with throughout your career, I'm wondering, how has your idea of what love is or should be, how has that evolved over the years as you're becoming a young adult?
It's evolved so much. I'm so confused as to what love is anymore, you know. I was so used to toxic relationships that I thought that's what love was, and I had to unlearn that toxicity and the things that have made me do and the things that have made them do. I had to unlearn all of that and try and navigate and see what love actually is. You know, I'm in a much better relationship where there's none of that. We barely fight. So yeah, it's changed so much, but I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah. In that song, Up To, you also have a lyric where you talk about you can't be sitting wondering if, you know, the girl is being faithful, you know. And where do you think your inability to easily trust in relationship stems from?
Probably my father leaving. I think that's a big reason. I've also had a lot of fallouts with friends, and friends sort of backstabbing me and going against my trust, you know. So I think that's where it sort of stems from.
And some of the songs, you know, when people hear this music, there is the softer side of Jay, you know, very reflective, speaking about relationships, also speaking about your mental health. And in one of the songs, you say, rehab got me messed up. I thought if I talk about it or something, then I'd get better.
Yeah.
Do you truly believe that you didn't find the answers or the healing that you're hoping to get from rehab?
Not at that time. Not at that time. I've done more therapy since, and I have found that doing it over an extensive period of time, it does help. But at the time, no, not really. I didn't find it very helpful. I always just sort of had this mentality as, why would I think that some local psychologist is going to change my life when I listen to the best psychiatrists and psychologists in the world? I read the best books there are about this stuff, watch the best interviews and podcasts and debates there is, and I always just think, why would some psychologist in Joburg, you know, change something for me? But I realized it's not really about the psychologist, it's more about you and the work you put in and what you say and how you choose to navigate through it all. But yeah, definitely at the time, I felt that it didn't really contribute too much.
And in one of my favorite songs on the album, No Way, over there you say, please don't look at me for the answers. And when I heard that, it made me think, because ever since you've been in this industry, you were always looked at as that artist who is very candid about mental health. And I guess just naturally, people then just made you like the poster child for mental health within the industry. And, you know, so now hearing you speak like this or say these lyrics where you're saying, you know, please don't look at me for the answers, I'm a lost soul. And I'm wondering, do you feel any pressure walking around with that badge of J Molley, the artist for mental health?
I wouldn't say I feel, I mean, yeah, I do. I feel pressure just being an artist and a celebrity, just in general. I mean, people are always walking up to me expecting something from me. They're expecting me to act a certain way. It's like, they'll come and see me, J Molley, it's you. And then it's like, yeah, it's me, bro. And it's like, and they're so excited, and like, I don't have that same energy because it's just me. I don't look at myself as this highly person, you know. It's just like, it's a lot of pressure. But in terms of mental health, definitely, like I say in the song, please don't look at me for the answers. It's like people expect to come to me and expect for me to give them some sort of advice, and it's like, yo, I actually don't have this advice for you. And so it is hard.
The moments where perhaps maybe you're going through a very rough patch, let's call it that, but then you have kids, you know, who have paid to come to your shows to see you, and then you have to be J Molley in that moment, when, even though you are internally dealing with your own struggles at the time.
Yeah.
How do you navigate those moments?
Well, I haven't done a show in such a long time now. It's been over a year. But in the past, that's why I would always have to just drink to be able to try to get myself to that state, because being sober, I find it so hard to get out of my shell and try to become that person that people want me to be. So I would always find myself drinking so much to a point where I would even ruin the show sometimes, you know. I had a lot of regrets when it comes to that type of thing. I struggle with that a lot.
And in the song Rehab, you say, I'm in pain and this pain ain't teaching me lessons. Oftentimes, you know, people go through things and there's some sort of lesson at the end of that phase. Yeah. But for you, you are saying that there is no lesson being taught here. Yeah. So then, this pain that you're going through, what is it doing to you?
That's the whole thing, is like, a lot of people are always trying to tell you that you're going through this for a reason. There's something to learn out of here, and sometimes I just can't find a single reason why I've gone through this or why I'm going through this. I don't believe that there is a reason or that there is a purpose to your struggle. It's just pain and struggle, and suffering is just inevitable, and sometimes there's nothing to take from it, you know. Unless you force, I find that people force themselves to take lessons out of things just to make themselves feel better, when it's really not the case. That's not why that happened. You're just trying to find a reason to make yourself feel like that's why that happened, so you can deal with it.
And now that you're returning back into the industry, so you're going to be in the public eye again. And you know, there's this quote, I might be misquoting, but essentially says, wealth is like seawater. The more you drink, the thirstier you become. And the same could be said for fame. Yeah. And so now, what is your relationship now like with fame and the spotlight? How do you now, or how are you planning on approaching it? Knowing now what's happened in the past, how are you approaching it this time around?
I don't have any plans, man. I'm just taking it day by day. Yeah, no plans really. Yeah. Fame is a tricky one. It sounds weird, you know, when artists, I mean, the whole goal at the beginning is to become famous, that's what you want, but then when you get it, you realize this is not actually what I want, you know. It's really, I don't enjoy it personally. I don't like having people recognize me. Like I said, people come up to me so happy and stuff, and I'm just like in my own state, my own mood. I don't know how to reciprocate that energy, because for them, they're seeing me for the first time, but I'm not seeing them for the first time, if you know what I mean. Like, I see these people all the time. I get hundreds of people coming up to me all the time being like, yo. For them, they think it's some special moment, which it could be, and it is, and I appreciate that. But for me, it's not some special moment, you know. It's happened all the time, and you get used to it, and it becomes uncomfortable sometimes when people are just coming with so much energy and you just don't know how to reciprocate that, or they just sort of treat you like an object, you know. Some people come up to me and they're just like, can I get a picture? And I'm like, how are you? They just ignore me, they don't even speak to me. They just want a picture just to post on Instagram. So yeah, it's a very strange thing. I'm not a fan of it.
You know, hearing you speak like that, I'm reminded of this Kanye West song, Pinocchio Story, from 808s and Heartbreak. And, you know, it's a live recording which made it onto the album. It's very raw and emotional. And, you know, he's literally on stage, basically just crying, you know, wanting to be treated as a normal person, comparing himself to Pinocchio. I just want to be a real boy, you know, I just want to be a normal boy. But like the craziest thing about that moment is that you have 50,000 people in the arena just screaming his name, and he is literally like crying out for help, you know. And when I listen to your music, back then I used to listen to it from the perspective of a fan. And then I got involved more in your career. But now, especially with like what's happened like the past year or so, now I listen to the music, and when I hear the things you say, I am listening from now a point of concern. And I'm wondering, for you with these songs, have these songs always been some sort of SOS for you? Like, would you say you were always trying to, you know, ask for help through the music?
I'm not sure. It doesn't feel like I'm doing that, but it definitely could be some sort of cry for help. Same thing with my tattoos. All of my tattoos have such negative connotations behind them, especially the ones on my face. And that is sort of a cry for help, but all the tattoos I get are because of my pain, and I want to show the world the pain I've gone through. I don't know why I do it, but it just happens, and it's something I've realized about myself. So I think it is sort of a cry for help. It's sort of just, it's me starting a dialogue with whoever can come out and just reach out to me and tell me something different. You know, I've always wanted to find answers, and that's why a lot of people start arguments, because they're actually not too sure about what they believe in, and they want to find out from other people what's going on. So yeah.
Looking back at these 5 or 6 years now of your career, what would you say is something that's given you the most satisfaction?
Definitely helping my family financially. That has been the best part of it all, and being able to help them financially, get them through their struggles. And just help people, you know. I've always been searching for some sort of purpose in life, and being able to help people through their struggles gives me that purpose. Gives me a bigger goal than just fame and money and all the mundane things that come with it. So yeah.
You know, when you speak like that, for some people it might be something new, because when they see J Molley is like this big hip-hop star, right? And you know, but in person you're someone who is very much down to earth, very much, you know, in tune and in touch with your people, your loved ones. And I'm wondering, does it ever get to you that there is that misunderstanding that exists between who some people think J Molley is and who SeezyRay is in person?
Yeah, it gets to me a lot. People just make their assumptions about me. They think I'm this arrogant, you know, it's just this arrogant person, that mean person. I think it's just the way that I look. I don't know what it is. I don't know why people feel that way about me, but once they meet me, they suddenly realize I'm this like down-to-earth, humble, funny guy, goofy guy. Like, I'm very goofy when I get comfortable with people. So yeah, it does get to me a lot, man.
And you know, I know that the bad days can be very heavy, you know, to carry. But what does a good day look like for you these days?
I would say just laughter. I love spending time with my friends. That's probably the best moments of my life, just spending time with my friends, laughing, making jokes. That is the ideal day for me. Just laughter.
And having come out of, you know, this dark period this past year or so, knowing what you know now, have your priorities shifted in how you're going to be moving and how you're going to be approaching life with decisions within your career? Have your priorities shifted?
Definitely. I used to be very money orientated, thinking that money was going to do everything for me, and that my success was going to finally put me in a stage of life where I felt like, okay, cool, I'm complete. Everything's fine now. But I've realized that money is absolutely nothing. It's very futile. Like, money, fame does nothing for you. So my priorities have definitely shifted in terms of what I want out of life, which I'm still trying to figure out. I mean, like I said, I don't have the answers, but my priorities definitely are shifting, and I'm trying to find new things to look forward to and new things to sort of accomplish and just search for meaning, really. I'm trying to find meaning and purpose. Yeah.
And I guess my last question then to you, Jesse, is then, what does peace look like for you now? Because like you said, you know, you've gone through different periods of your life where you believed one thing and then you've evolved and believed in something different. Like, you're always evolving, right? And I feel like it's only with the benefit of hindsight that you're able to look back and say, okay, fine, you know, I feel like now, knowing what I know now, this is how I define this part of my life. And how do you define peace?
It's changed so much that I don't even know at this point. You know, I always thought peace was just me quitting, leaving everything behind, becoming a monk. But I'm not sure if I'm actually ready for that stage of life yet. I think I'm still very young, I have a lot to learn. But that is my goal one day, just to honestly leave everything behind and just become a simple man. That's my idea of peace, you know. When you have so much, when you own so much, it ends up controlling you. You know, when you have nothing to lose. And that's my idea of peace, just having nothing to lose. Being at a point where nothing stresses me. If I lose this, it doesn't matter because you only lose what you cling on to. So that's my idea of peace. I don't know when I'll ever find it or if I will, but yeah.
When you say, you know, you cling onto things or getting to a point where you have nothing to lose, when you do have all these things, do you find yourself operating from a place of fear?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. Fear of loss, fear of losing something. The biggest fear is obviously losing your life. I think that's the fear that controls everything. Is the fear of death. You can usually narrow down all your fears and it narrows down to that. You know, it's like, what if I lose this car? What if I lose this house? And then I die. It always comes down to death. I don't know how to explain it too well, but I know that it always comes down to death. So getting over that fear of death is something very important. I've pretty much gotten over that, but I still have fear of, I'm not scared of dying, but I'm scared to live.
Yeah.
I'm very scared to live, scared to go through things. Death has never been my problem.
So your album is going to be dropping, and in my opinion, this is your most personal body of work to date for many reasons. And I'm sure, you know, fans will, when they listen to this, they'll understand why I feel that way. And one, do you feel that this is your most personal body of work to date?
Yes, definitely. Like, I'm an open book, like I said, but I think I'm definitely more open in this project. I don't know why, but yeah, I definitely wanted to speak about all my problems in this tape, just so I could keep my fans on this journey with me so they can understand why I took such a long break. I think it's a very fundamental part of my journey, like we said in the press statement that I dropped recently, the letter. It's just a very important part, and it would be unfair for me to not speak about it, especially being an advocate for mental health.
And what do you hope people will walk away with after listening to this body of work?
Hopefully they just get more insight into who I am and how I am and what I'm dealing with. And I hope that I say in the tape in one of the lines, hope when you hear this that it gets you lifted. I just hope that it uplifts people. I hope it makes them feel like it's okay to go through what they're going, just to understand themselves better. Just to leave them with something like that. Make them just think and just inquire and question.
Yeah. And, you know, looking forward now, because this wasn't part of the plan, this project. And you're working on different types of music, even sonically, music that sounds very different to what you have on this album. Where are you creatively? Are you able to give insight to, you know, the people who will be watching this as to where you're moving now in terms of your creative compass? Where's it pointing at?
I'm working on a lot of Afrobeat stuff now and Afro piano. I really started listening to more of that stuff as of late, and I'm really getting into it. So that's what I'm going to be branching into this year. Want to just sort of take over Africa, get out to more places, go to Nigeria, go to Ghana, go to Kenya, Botswana, Zambia, all these places. I get DMs from people all the time telling me to come there, so I'd love to do that. So I want to collaborate with more African artists and just broaden the crowd.
Yeah. Are there any artists in particular that you have your eye on to bring on board with the new music that you'll be working on, especially now branching into Africa?
Most of the ones actually have them on already, so
yeah.
I have all my features that I really want. But I want to get something done with Buju maybe. Yeah, something done with the Mari. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know, we can make a couple of calls and we can make it happen. But yeah, man, I think just from a personal note, you know, it's been great watching you grow into this industry. And, you know, like I said, since day one, we've been there in the corner. And, you know, I feel like, well, my hope for you is that you're able to take a step back and feel the love and realize or recognize the love that people have for you. Whether it's within your fans or just the people around you that you keep around you, because there is a lot of love there for you. And, you know, I do know that sometimes when you're in the depths of, you know, the darkness, it is hard to, you know, to actually look up and see and appreciate that love. But, you know, I really hope that you find ways to, or it becomes easier for you to accept that kind of love from people.
Yeah, me too. Thank you, man.
Yeah, man. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for the interview, bro.
It's been a pleasure, my dog.
What am I up to? You never checked on me when I was down, baby, fuck you. You get no love too. She wanna know where I've been, wanna know what I've gone through. Love make me nauseous. There ain't a girl that I've met that don't make me feel cautious. Love is too painful. I can't be sitting here questioning if shawty